And we are live for the 10th episode of the Bronx Bomber Babble podcast. It's me and Ryan here tonight. How you doing, Ryan?
Well, the Yankees just won their first opening day since 2011, so I'm doing pretty damn good, Luigi.
Yeah, it's one of those stats that doesn't really hit you until every opening day when you would just see that tweet like year after year. Up, it's been this many years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years.
Java Chamberlain won the last opening day for the Yankees. That's how you know.
I'm feeling crazy. But today, today was about many things. But let's just address the elephant in the room. Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run in his first at bat as a New York Yankee. I mean, can you script it any better? Unbelievable from the man who said that we signed him as a free agent one time in this podcast. It feels damn good to see that guy. His first, I can't say in pinstripes, he's not in pinstripes yet, but his first game as a Yankee to just hit, what was it? There's a stat cast for everything with Stanton, but the hardest opposite hit field ball in the history of stat cast. I mean, just ball was a absolute rocket. And then in his last at bat, another homer. What a game. It really, like they said afterwards, you could not have scripted that any better than what happened. And that one inning, I think there was the fourth or fifth inning where it was literally just Judge gets the hit, and then Stanton drives him, and then Gary gets it. At that point, it was the dreams, what we've dreamed of since we had gotten Stanton, since we had acquired Stanton, was just happening before our eyes. So, Ryan, how excited were you just watching that lineup?
Well, first of all, Luigi, if it makes you feel any better, a couple of my roommates who know nothing about baseball also thought that we signed Giancarlo Stanton in the offseason.
That makes me feel better.
So, just to, make you feel a little bit better about yourself. But, yeah, man, it's an 80-degree day here in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm just sitting on my bed, window open, breeze flowing through my hair, which, according to some people, is really nice looking. I don't always agree. And just seeing Giancarlo Stanton hit the ball that far and with so much authority and so much little effort put into it, it's just absolutely phenomenal to watch, especially now that he's on our side and not having to see him do it against us, even though we rarely play the Marlins. But it still matters the same. Just seeing him on our side, and like you said, first inning we have Guard to get on because the Grandy man can't catch a line drive. He's 37 years old, and the outfield can't catch a line drive. Don't know what that's about. But
what an entrance!
Yeah, really. Yeah, the Toronto fans were very pleased when he caught his next fly ball. But anyways, Judge struck out, which was pretty unfortunate. But you have Giancarlo Stanton on deck, so if Judge has a moment like that where he takes a bad swing, a bad pitch, and you have Giancarlo Stanton on deck, and he can just do what he did, it's absolutely phenomenal. And just it's really hard for teams to get around that, because honestly, I didn't think Jay Happ pitched that terrible today. I just think the Yankees lineup was just too much for him, and I think a lot of pitchers are gonna be dealt with that once they play the Yankees in the future.
Well, something the Yankees lineup just does so well is it's as a team, like 1 through 9. Obviously, everyone except Didi, but they just work the pitcher. They work the count. I think J.A. Happ had 96 pitches through 4 3/3. I mean, he was just about at 100. I'm not sure if he had that many, but he was closing in on 100 pitches, not even 5 innings. And yeah, it's like they just do that to a lot of pitchers. I forget how many pitchers they got out before the 5th inning last year. It was quite a bit. I mean, they did it a lot. And it's not just from pure power. It's not just from pure offense. It's from working counts, getting deep into counts. Guys like Gardy, even guys like Hicks, or obviously Judge, very good at working deep into counts. And that's what they did today. And I mean, just Stanton's stat line, just to read it off to make it official: 3 for 5. He had 3 runs, the 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. Just really, you cannot script a better debut than what he had. But really, the whole lineup was hitting today. They had only 6 runs, but they ended up with 11 hits. I believe the only guy that didn't get a hit, the only 2 guys that didn't get hits were Didi and Austin. Wade obviously is 1 at bat, didn't get a hit, but
honestly, Luigi, I was like, obviously you can see what was in the box score, and you can see guys like Stanton and Judge and Gardner had good days, but even in the box score, you can't see, like, I think every time he had a strikeout. No, he didn't. He had a weak pop up in his first at bat, but every single time he hit the ball, he scorched it. I mean, it found the leather half the time.
Made a great play on.
Yeah, made good defense.
Heavy pickoff.
Yeah. play. He made a nice stretch towards the end of the game. Made a sweet sliding grab to save the overthrow and the pickoff. Hit a couple balls in the gap. Let's see. Even Gardner went 1 for 5, but I'm pretty sure he smoked. As our good friend Sean made sure to point out, he smoked a bunch of balls to Justin Smoke, and he just happened to be standing right there and catch them. So I don't.
It was almost it was almost as if his first few at bats he was hitting the ball hard, and then his home run off the bat it almost seemed just like a kind of a deep lazy fly ball.
Yeah, ball was carrying in Toronto.
Yeah, that ball just kept going, and it got out, and that's like a classic Gardy home run. Starting that career high last year. He's trying to make it. He's trying to get 22 plus. But yeah, I mean, look, what did I say on one of the first few episodes of this podcast? Judge, Stanton, and Gary need to be together in the lineup. And I think, look, it's one game, but I think today we kind of just saw that. Look, man, that's a nightmare for pitchers to get there. It's almost like I always use these cross-sport analogies, but just you look at the Golden State Warriors, and what makes the Warriors so effective is if you just look at Clay, Steph,
exactly, the star power is
Durant. Let's just say those three guys. It's almost impossible that all three are going to have an off night. At least, even if Curry and Durant are awful on a night, there are other guys going to step in, and that's what's going to happen with these three guys when they're in that lineup together, especially when they're all just hitting next to each other. If Judge and Stanton both combine for 0 for 9 with 7 strikeouts, Gary most likely is going to go 2 for 5 with a couple RBIs. That's a lot of more times than not. 2 of those guys are going to be clicking. So just having those 3 in the lineup, it's hell. It's absolute hell for pitchers to deal with. Like you said, J.A. Happ, he was pitching pretty well. I mean, he wasn't like throwing up meatball. Look, we're going to get into Severino, and that's I think a good segue. Severino. I know I'm almost going to sound like a hater saying this, but he pitched very well today, but he wasn't great to me. He left a lot of pitches up in the zone. I mean, but you look at the stat line, you say, wow, 1 hit, 5 2/3, 92 pitches. Obviously, Boone definitely lets him finish that inning if it's not opening day. I understood taking him out.
There's those fans complaining that he pitched only 91 pitches and he still had a shutout going. But it's opening day, like you said, he's going to get some outings where he's going to be able to go the distance. And I think that's not a really good descriptive of how Boone's going to treat the pitchers. I'm pretty sure it was opening day. I'm pretty sure, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure he never hit above 70, 75 pitches in spring training. So this was just the next step. And I'm sure Boone's going to do the same exact thing with Gray and CC, assuming they're able to get to that 90 or so pitch mark. And then once we get into mid-April, I'll see him letting the curtain back and letting them just go as far as they can while being productive.
Yeah, because Severino, you never know. Once you get past 90 pitches, you never know when that 8+ pitch at bat's coming. And then all of a sudden you go from 92 pitches to 100 pitches. So, yeah, it was the right move to take him out, especially putting Green in.
And Green looked phenomenal. Absolutely.
I tweeted out, he literally just picked up right where he left off last year. Just guys barely could touch him. Betances not so much. But, to talk about Severino, I believe at one point, once he had 60, 65 pitches, he only threw a couple changeups. It was 32 fastballs and I think 28 sliders, something around there. And he was throwing a lot of sliders, man. And there was
sharp pitch tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were some of those pitches, man, that he was just leaving up, and the Blue Jays just did not capitalize on any of them. But yeah, so Severino, but that just shows you, I think, the evolution of Severino, what we may be in store for is, hey, he didn't even have his A stuff, yet he still managed to go 5 2/3 shutout innings and giving up 1 hit. And I believe striking out 6, something like that.
Let's look. He struck out 7 batters.
7.
So, Luigi, real quick, I want you to look. So, do you have the notes pulled up?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want you to look at the number of pitches from the Yankees offense compared to the Blue Jays offense. And I honestly think that tells the story of the game right there. Because like you said, Luis Severino did not have his best stuff, but what he did was when he wasn't missing early in the count, he attacked the zone and got the Blue Jays to not go into deep counts. Because if I'm looking at it now, I see Gardner 30 pitches, Judge 25, Stanton 24, Sanchez 21. All these guys are having a lot of pitches, and then you have Granderson, who's a 4-hole hitter, only saw 15 pitches.
Didi 4 at bats, 10 pitches. Unbelievable.
We got an anomaly there. Didi's not known for going deep into counts, but I'm just talking. If you look at both teams as a whole, I think the number of pitches is one of the ways that define this game. The Yankees obviously had an approach against Happ, who's like you said, not a bad pitcher, didn't have a bad outing, but they worked the count, got their pitches, clobbered them when they got them, and the Blue Jays were just unable to do that.
Yeah, really, the Blue Jays, besides the home run off Betances by, I believe it was Pilar, they really didn't square up. Like the only balls they really squared up, it seemed like all game, were off Betances.
And it was one pitch. I mean, I know he gave up some hard hit outs, but I'm pretty glad he was able to settle down and not make that into, because the Yankees had some bullpen fallouts last season, and I'm glad that this game didn't turn out to that. I think Betances, he probably knew he didn't have his ace stuff, so he just settled down, threw strikes, and let his defense do work behind him.
It is weird though, because like right away, like he comes in, he just gives it the home run, and you're just kind of almost looking around like, oh my god, is this come on, like this can't be happening. He's still got, but I mean, would you rather him do that or go? I would have been more worried if he came out and just threw 4 pitches that were nowhere close. And
I'm looking. The no walks is what I'm pretty impressed with from him.
Okay, you give up a home run first pitch, fine. You're trying to get ahead.
You're up 6 runs. Shake it off. Your offense is doing their stuff today. Just get out there, throw strikes, let your defense do work.
Like, fine. Exactly. Just keep in the zone, get the next 3 outs, settle down. But I was a little surprised that the Boone used Chappie today. Not the save situation. I get that. I guess you don't have to use your closer when it's purely a save situation. But I was expecting to see D-Rob or Canely in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe that's Boone's kind of way of telling us that he's not going to really rely on that bullpen row. I mean, obviously Chapman's going to be the closer. I'm pretty sure. Pretty obvious at this point, but maybe that's just his way of saying, hey, I'm not afraid to burn out Chapman one night just to secure the win. And then because I can just throw in D-Rob or Canely or let Warren pitch the 7th one night. And I think that's kind of Boone's way of showing us that by him using Chapman tonight like he did.
Yeah. Just that, honestly, that was really the perfect opening day after just years and years of suffering on opening day.
Yeah, I haven't stopped listening to Frank Sinatra since the last
but really, it's just it's something that it literally hits you every opening day. Like you don't remember it all season until opening day when you go, oh yeah, the Yankees currently have I think that was their first road opening day win since 2006, I believe.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean that's a long time, But yeah, a couple other things. Only other guy with a multi-home run game in his first game played as a Yankee, Roger Maris, in 1960. That was, of course, tweeted out by Katie Sharp, who tweets out like every ridiculous stat and every score.
We're not the biggest fan of the River Ave Blues over here at the Bronx Bomber Ball, but I have mad respect for Katie Sharp. The stuff that she puts out there is phenomenal.
Even because I'm a Giants fan too. Even for like football, she'll put out like a lot of like really cool tournament too, and like college basketball, a lot of good stuff. But let's just take a look at this team as like an outlook for the season. Because, obviously we didn't really do like a preview show, but
yeah,
you look at this, let's just talk, we talk about the lineup, and like, I think even on the blue, my dad was telling me because he was watching the Blue Jays announcing on MLB Network or MLB TV, I should say. They were even talking about, Judge hitting leadoff and all this. So the whole Judge hitting leadoff, like it is a thing, but if Gardner keeps having games like he had today, and I'm not just talking about going 1 for 5, but just his at bats and just the way he's going to be the leadoff hitter. Like my whole thing with Judge becoming leadoff hitter was, kind of almost a bold take that I don't think Gardner is just going to be the player he's been the last few seasons.
Definitely.
And any sort of drop off from Gardner, 260 and let's say a 370 on base percentage to a 240 and 350 on base percentage is a big deal, so I don't know. But he had some great at bats today. He had a home run. Just that right there, like that top 4, that's the lineup. Like I was never a person, because there's so many people like a week ago, let's not act like it was years ago. Greg Bird
has to hit 3rd and 1.
Exactly, dude. There were so many people I was hearing on Twitter, on other podcasts, like, oh, well, yeah, Greg Bird's a 3 guy. He has to be. I'm like, why? Why does he has to be? Why does the guy that hit 190 last year? I don't care if he was hurt. I don't care if he got shot in the foot before every game. He was very bad last year.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
I think
I never got it. I never understood why people were just saying, "Oh, Greg Bird is the 3 hitter." I said, "Why? Is he on the same caliber of hitter as the big 3 that the Yankees have? No, so he should be hitting 6th or hitting 7th." And obviously, I'm upset that Bird's hurt, and especially if Austin is hurt, which I don't think he is. We'll get into that a little later. But yeah, it's just I'm glad that Boone is putting those three guys together, and I think it's gonna be like that for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I think like you touched on it earlier, having those three together, it kind of like contributes something to the pitcher that you can't really keep track of in a scorebook because of course there's a pitch count, but I definitely think the stress of each pitch has a lot more of an impact than people take into an account. And I think having to pitch to Judge, then to Stanton, then to Sanchez, that stress put on the pitcher's arm and the pitch count, I think that those pitches to those three hitters are a lot more detrimental to the pitcher than facing like, maybe throwing Bird in there, who's not a bad hitter by any means, but it's a lot easier for a guy like Jay Happ to pitch to Greg Bird than Giancarlo Stanton. Because if you think about it, Bird would have been in that 3-hole, and I'm pretty sure Giancarlo Stanton came up with 2 outs in a couple scenarios today, and that would have been Greg Bird. And I'm not saying Greg Bird wouldn't have gotten the job done, but I think having Stanton there after having to work to either get Judge out or barely getting by Judge with him doing limiting damage, I think that is definitely the formula the Yankees should stick to. And like you said with Gardner, he saw 30 pitches today. He had 5 at bats, 6 pitch at bats. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Gardner. Look, Gardner is the leadoff hitter.
He is
until he himself loses that role. Because Judge could be hitting 400. Right? If Judge is ripping the ball and Gardner's doing his thing, they're going to keep Judge in the spot he's in.
100%.
Yeah. Judge had a great game today. For his first at bat was, like that classic Judge strikeout at bat.
Yeah, exactly. Flicking his sliders.
He literally looks like an oaf that just never has picked up a baseball bat before, and just all of a sudden just starts swinging it. But then his next 2 at bats, he gets hits, and you say, "Oh, there's that guy." But yeah, so Tyler Austin today, I think it was a defensive replacement. He did kind of almost hop over. Well, I wouldn't call it a collision, but he almost kind of hopped over Smoke. And the moment he was out of the game, like he just said, it was literally just hand in the face. Just no, another first baseman down. Like who would we go to? Miguel Andujar starting to come in my mind. Like, wow, is he ready for first base after 10 days at the position? But yeah, it was scary. But I think it was just a defensive replacement. But I gotta want to talk about real quick before we move on is Neil Walker.
Yeah,
Neil Walker.
He impressed me, man.
Yeah. We touched on a little bit earlier, but Brandon Drury. I think Drury had a hit, but
yeah, he had a base
I know there's just something about Walker that, like, I said, I don't know, man. I like this guy. This guy could be like that classic. I don't want to call him like a Chuck Knobloch, but just that classic. No,
I agree 100%. He's a gamer, man.
Yeah, kind of like that, like, just gritty guy at the bottom of your lineup that every World Series team needs, every like top team needs. And yeah, I really think it's looking more likely that Drury is going to be the guy that moves out. If someone's going to lose the role, it's probably going to be Drury, more likely than Walker.
Yeah, I mean, Walker, he showed great athleticism today with, like you said, the sliding behind first base to prevent Granderson from getting to third. And then he just so seamlessly moved over to first base and made a nice stretch play when he has first base experience, but he hasn't played it for a very long time.
I think last year he played 15, 20 games at first.
I think when Eric Thames started to kind of go downhill, I think that's when they started to let Walker get some ABs there. But yeah, I'm with you on Walker and I'm with you on Austin. I definitely think it was just a defensive replacement because Austin hits lefty substantially better. And the Blue Jays already used Aaron Loop, who's their only lefty out of the pen. So they're going to see predominantly right-handed pitchers for the rest of the game. So I think they just got Wade in there. Wade's probably a better defender than Walker is at second. Not that Walker's a poor defender, but I definitely do think Wade's athleticism showed even at the end of the game today. And Walker's no slouch at first base. I think he's athletic. I think he's been making some nice picks, nice stretches. So I definitely think they went for the matchup there. I mean, I hope nothing's wrong with Austin because first base has been cursed for the Yankees. But I'm with you on both Walker and Austin.
Yeah, and another thing, I'm just looking at the Blue Jays, like their box score and their pitcher. Just like it really is incredible how amazing the Yankees bullpen is because. You just look who the Blue Jays went to today.
Exactly.
Axford, Loop, Barnes, and Clippard. Like that's pretty much that's most of their bullpen. Like those are the guys like you're looking at. Because look, I honestly think the Blue Jays are going to probably make the second wild card.
Really?
Because I as bold as that sounds, like I honestly think that the AL, besides the top four and the Indians, Yankees,
That's fair.
Astros, the Red Sox, like, look, did anyone think the Twins were going to get that second wild card last year? No, they kind of just almost like, you know, I mean, what did they win? 85? Like, I feel like 85, 86 wins could get you that second wild card spot. And the Blue Jays are a team that, I don't know, I feel like they could do it, but it just really, it's like a team like that probably has a chance, a decent shot at making the wild card spot. Like, that's their bullpen. And even the Red Sox, like, we're going to talk about the Red Sox that happened today. Like, you know, the Red Sox bullpen doesn't scare you, like, at all. They went, I mean, yes, let's start talking about the Red Sox.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get into that.
We're gonna talk about some like over-unders for the season and who we think is going to be the team MVP and stuff. But yeah, let's talk. So the Red Sox and Rays open their season today, and you know, it was going well for the Red Sox. Chris Sale from April to August is the best pitcher in baseball, probably.
Yeah, he's up there for sure. 100%.
Probably him and Kershaw, but both those guys are you know, not the same September on. But yeah, so 6 innings there, much like Luis Severino. Chris Sale also was just out there dealing 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 3 walks, 9 Ks, 92 pitches. So pretty similar stat line as Severino, but it all went downhill from there. Barnes came in through got a 1-2-3 inning, so it was all well, but our good boy Joe Kelly, he got absolutely
mollywop.
Yeah, I was about to say he got absolutely hammered, but he hammered himself. Listen to the stat line: a third of an innings, 1 hit, 4 runs, 3 walks. So if you want to know what this 1 hit was, it was a bases clearing triple by Denard Span.
Denard Span, the throw-in from the Giants. I love it.
And yeah, I actually think the triple was off Smith because he got the loss. So I believe he led up the triple. But regardless, the Red Sox just completely blew a game today against the Rays, who may be one of the worst teams in baseball. I mean, it's only time will tell. But yeah, that's, you know, it's a long season. Obviously, baseball is so different, but. Yeah, I mean, I think the Red Sox, you just look at their bullpen, and I really think that's going to be a big problem for them. Obviously, they have Kimbrel. But that in games that are, you know, tie games and games they're down by 1 or 2, they're in trouble because they don't have a lot of guys that can just come in and shut it down and keep it close. But
I mean, the Red Sox definitely were in control for most of this game. I mean, I didn't watch the game because there's a more important game going on, but they definitely looks like they handled Archer, who they let up 4 runs in 6 innings, and Sale did his job, and even Barnes did all right. But I mean, if you're relying on Joe Kelly, who the once proclaimed I'm going to win the Cy Young Award, and I don't think he's ever started for a full season, I'm going to have to find that tweet by him. And I thought that was pretty hysterical when he said it.
Eduardo Nunez inside the park home.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I asked one of my Red Sox buddies if Eduardo Nunez's helmet stayed on for the whole time around.
Yeah, everyone was wondering that. I'm like, why is anyone wondering? Like, come on. Like, his helmet would fall off in the dugout. Like, that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm honestly with you, Luigi. This bullpen, the Red Sox starting staff, I mean, I think it's a little overrated, but I do think it is probably top tier in the AL compared to the other rotations. And their offense is definitely going to do the job. But their bullpen, man, if you're relying on Joe Kelly and Carson Smith, Carson Smith was a good reliever before his injury bug hit. But if you're relying on these guys and they're facing arguably the worst offense in the American League, I mean, they have Rob Refsnyder as their designated hitter. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
You know it's bad when your DH is your number 9 hitter.
And Rob Refsnyder, they claim their designated hitter off of waivers, Luigi. Like, are you serious?
Your DH is literally specifically for hitting, and when he's hitting 9th, it's literally like a double negative. But
yeah, but I mean, I'm with you, man. I think the Red Sox are going to be a good team. And I think they do get that first wild card spot, but they're going to have to do something with this bullpen. I'm surprised they didn't go after Holland or another one of the high profile names as they.
What Holland signed for $14 million today?
Yeah, with the Cardinals.
Man.
Yeah, good for him though. I was rooting for him.
Big money, man.
The Cardinals need it though. Their bullpen, I'm pretty sure, lost them the game today as well.
Man, Moustakas, he's probably looking at that like, oh man. But
yeah.
So let's look at the Red Sox lineup because I'm just gonna run through it real quick. So today they rolled out Mookie Betts, obviously, as their leadoff hitter, which isn't going to change. Benintendi, Hanley, Mitch Moreland came in for Hanley. Then JD was hitting cleanup. He went 0 for 3 today with a walk. Xander Bogaerts, Rafi Devers, Eduardo Nunez, Jackie Bradley Jr., and then Vasquez at catcher. It's a pretty good lineup. It really is, and it really depends on what JD does and if he could capture that lightning in a bottle that he had last year. I mean, his freaking 40 home runs in almost like 120 games. He was just ridiculous last year. But I really think it's a strength of the Red Sox because if Hanley could hit, if I've got like, because look, Rafael Devers scares the holy hell out of me. That dude is, I could see him being just taking that next step. Like, I'm not going to say like an Aaron Judge, but I could see him having like a pretty big season. So, which one hitter on the Red Sox scares you the most?
I mean, other than JD Martinez and then Rafael Devers when he's facing Aroldis Chapman in the 9th inning or whatever inning that he took him deep last year. I mean, really none of them do. I mean, even Mookie Betts, who's I think a very good hitter and he's going to be a perennial MVP candidate. Like if he's up with the game on the line and I'm the other team, I'm not really like that scared. I mean, I think he's a solid hitter and he'll probably get the job done, but they just don't have like the names that the Yankees have, like the Stanton, the Judge, the Gary, the Didi. I mean, Hanley Ramirez is your third hitter. I don't think Hanley Ramirez, if he was on the Yankees, I'm pretty sure he'd be hitting 8th or 9th, honestly, if he was even lucky enough to get a spot in the order.
Yeah. Dude, Hanley was, being from South Florida, Hanley was like the man when he was coming up. Like,
he was one of my favorite players when I was younger.
Yeah, man. Like everyone thought he was going to be so great. I mean, he's had a pretty good career. I'm not going to. He's a 290 career hitter. He's had a very, very good career. But people it's almost one of those things like guys are so hyped and guys are so placed on such a high pedestal. It's almost impossible for them to live up to the hype. But yeah, I mean. Hanley last year, I think he hit 240 last year.
Yeah.
So
atrocious power numbers.
Yeah, that was really the one thing about the Red Sox last year that I always would say. I say, their lineup's very good, but there's not that one guy or that that one spot in the lineup that you just say, oh my God, we got to get through this guy. They're up. Because when we the old Yankees, Red Sox, all throughout the 2000s,
definitely.
Manny and Ortiz and Euclid. There's always guys in the lineup that you just would get mad at, and the Yankees have that now with Judge, Stanton, and Gary. Guys, opposing fans are just gonna scratch their heads and just gonna get very mad when they see those guys are coming up to the plate. But the Red Sox just don't have that yet, and that's why I talk about Devers, and that's why it was such a good move for them to get JD Martinez. I wasn't as much of a fan of it as first, but I am more so look, I'm not a fan as in I like it obviously with Red Sox, but from a neutral standpoint, I mean, it was just such a good move for them because
they really needed it.
They really did need that hitter that is feared, and JD is a guy that obviously, like I said, had a freaking unbelievable year last year, but he's not a guarantee to just do that again. I think he's only had a couple of full seasons.
And he gets hurt a lot too.
Yeah, he's gotten hurt a lot. So, it's going to be interesting to see with that Red Sox team because, yeah, I don't know what your opinions on of the Orioles, but I feel like the Rays, it would actually shock me if the Rays went above 500. But the Orioles and Blue Jays, for whatever reason, I still feel like they could just be kind of annoying. Not so much to the Yankees, but to the Red Sox. They could just kind of prevent the Red Sox, be the difference in the Red Sox getting 90 wins and then under 90 wins.
Yeah, I think the Yankees and Red Sox are definitely a league above the rest in the American League East. The Rays are terrible. I mean, they pulled out the game today, but I don't think they're 3-4-5 is Carlos Gomez, CJ Cron, and Wilson Ramos. That is
the best part of that team. The best part of that team. The best part of that team is just Kevin Kiermaier playing center field because that guy's such a great center.
Yeah,
field.
He is definitely.
But yeah, that's literally the only exciting thing I find about the Rays.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, some people like I think it was USA Today. I don't remember one of those websites with their predictions. They had the Orioles making the second wild card. I mean, the Orioles have some nice pieces, but their starting rotation's terrible. Their offense is either home run or strikeout. I'm not talking like Giancarlo Judge home runs. I'm talking Chris Davis and Mark Trumbo home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And their bullpen, they have their start closers out, I think, until May or June, maybe longer. And the rest of their bullpen just isn't really that good. So I don't really see what the hype is about the Orioles. The Blue Jays, I still think they're off outside of Donaldson, and we don't know if Smoke's going to repeat what he did last year. I think their offense is pretty below league average. And I think their starting rotation, I think, could be sneaky. But like you were saying, their bullpen, they have Clippard, who was traded away from the Yankees. Like, they forced away. They probably begged.
Like, when they were showing the Clippard graphic before the game, it was like, yeah, Clippard was on 3 teams last year.
Yeah, he won a ring. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
and then they got Sewon O. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was pulled off the scrap heap as well. And John Axford's seen better days. Aaron Loop's just a lefty commodity at this point, doesn't really do anything else. I've never even heard of Barnes. So, I mean, then the names just aren't there for any of these teams. I mean, I agree with you where I think they'd be more of a problem to the Red Sox than to the Yankees, but for them to even have a chance of making a run, I just don't see it.
Yeah. You know, that's when I knew that the Blue Jays just had their bullpen was just bad, because the first option out of the bullpen is John Axford.
Yeah. What was the score at that point? Wasn't it still a 2 or 3 run game?
Yeah, it was still close. I think he came in and gave up the hit to Stanton and made like a 3-0.
Well, yeah. If you're Aaron Boone, Luigi, who would you have put in if you were the Yankees and you were down that situation? Who would you have put in?
I mean, probably if it's a big game, probably Green. Honestly.
I mean, you're talking the difference between either Chad Green or David Robertson versus John Axford and Aaron Loop. Like,
I could even go Adam Warren, and that's still a much better option.
There's just no comparison there for any of these teams other than
Axford. I think they showed his stats from last year. He had like a 6.5 ERA. And I'm saying to myself,
now he's got a 27.0.
This is the guy. They're like, okay, you're saying, man, it's still a close game. Stanton's up. Let's bring in Axford. Like, that's your guy. That's literally your guy. Your first guy out of the bullpen. Like, that amazed me. Like, I'm like,
agree.
Like, that is unbelievable. You'd bring in, then he gives a hit. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. The guy had a 6.5 ERA last year at the bullpen. That's terrible. Yeah, John Axford is one of those guys, like almost like Fernando Rodney, that you feel like he's literally been a relief pitcher on like every single team.
I know, and you just see him blowing games left and right.
He always has like a 4.8 ERA. Like, how the hell is this guy still in the league?
Every time Rodney shoots the arrow, he allows a freaking home run. He allows a home run in the bottom of the 9th inning, like he did today.
Oh yeah, so to recap with the Yanks, Green, Betances, and Chapman in the bullpen today. I just love tracking the bullpen and like who gets used. And, all right. So today we use these guys. So D-Rob and Canely are probably gonna be the first guys out tomorrow.
Definitely.
And it's great. Just it's great to be a Yankee right now. It's one game, right? But that was literally
they needed that though. The Yankees needed that. I think
that was just really a game that you say, wow, that could not have gone any better. But I just want to pose a quick over and under, because the over and under I saw that I believe that Vegas put out for the Yankees in terms of wins was 93.5. And yeah, I know that I thought that was very low. And I understand that they won 91 last year. And I also understand that, in baseball, there's some years in baseball that the best team only wins like 96, 97 games. Like baseball's weird like that. We're almost like, there's not a lot of like terrible teams, so then there's not a lot of great teams. Like it's tough to explain, but it's almost like everything regresses to the mean. So you just never know when a team, despite having a great year, is only going to win 93, 94 games. But I don't know. Like, I just look at this Yankees team and I say, man, if they click, they're probably going to win 100+ games. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they won like 105, 106 games. And that's not to say like if they did that, then they would just waltz their way to the World Series and that's it. Because not that it doesn't make a difference if you win your division winning 93 games or win your division winning 108 games.
No, not at all.
Right? Like, it really just obviously home field advantage, but in terms of making a run, I think it really comes down for the Yankees to that home field advantage. So I think it's going to be very important for them to get those win totals up, because I believe the Astros were over 100 last year, and so were the Indians.
Yep. I mean, it didn't work out too well for the Indians in the end because we all know how that went. Nope. But I definitely do think.
Look, if we're down, let's just say this: if we're down 2-0 to the Indians again this year, look,
we want home field advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right, 100%.
I don't think they lost a home playoff game last year.
No, and that's why I think if the Yankees are able to get that home field advantage, like if they have the home field advantage in the ALCS, who knows? They could have been a World Series team for all we know. And the Astros could have never went on the run that they did to win the World Series. But I think you're right. I think 93.5 is almost a laughable estimate for me to do an over-under on, because they won 91 games last year and they had Chase Headley starting at first base for the majority of the season. And they were without Chris Carter and they were without the NL MVP, and they didn't have Sonny Gray for a full season. And Masahiro Tanaka was one of the worst pitchers in the American League. So to say they would only win 93, 94 games, I think that's pretty laughable. Especially, don't know if you heard this on yesterday, but Michael Kay said based on run differential and other baseball predictor models, the Yankees should have won 100 games last year. It just happened to be they had those games where the
because Betances and Chapman both were just so bad. That's just such a good.
Certain Blue Jay reliever also was pretty bad when he was on the Yankees. Blew a handful of games.
If you just think about Betances and Chapman, you say, like, oh well, it's like it almost sounds casual to say, well, oh, if these two guys both had a 1.4 ERA, then we win 100 games. But both those guys usually do have, ERAs in the high ones and the low twos. Both those guys usually don't have stretches like they had for that long of a period of time. So, yeah, it really isn't crazy to think that if those guys both, have consistent years and stay level all year, that the Yankees do win 100 games. But I was going to say about the Orioles earlier. I think they said this on the Yes broadcast. I'm not sure. I think the Orioles had Chris Davis hitting leadoff.
They did have Chris Davis hitting leadoff.
What the hell is that?
Who do the Orioles face today? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
I'm gonna check real quick and see which pitcher they faced, because honestly, they're talking about how Twins. The Twins. Okay, so they faced Jake Odorizzi. So I mean, I can see the righty-lefty matchup, but Michael Kay was talking about like the reason why the Yankees consider Judge is because you want your best hitter to be hitting leadoff. There's no way Chris Davis is the best hitter on the Orioles. It's really not. It's like
you want your best hitter to be hitting leadoff, but there's limits. Like
exactly.
I think we said, me and Alex were talking about on the Judge pod we did, that look, I don't need my leadoff hitter to run a 6.6 60-yard dash and to steal 50 bases.
Oh, definitely. You don't need that.
But he also can't, be slow at like Greg Bird slow and be no threat to steal a base. Like that also can't happen. But
yes, definitely.
I don't mind like having a leadoff hitter like Judge, who I think Judge is going to be a guy that steals around like 10, 12 bases.
Yeah, I think he's a sneaky stealer, I think. I mean, obviously he's not only on first base often, because most of the time he gets extra base hit.
He scored from first to home today on that Stanton.
Yeah, he was hauling.
I wasn't, I was like doing some laundry. I almost thought like he was just on second.
Yeah,
and I realized
I heard Kay say, "And here comes Judge around third," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And it sounded like he got in easy, because I was walking to class, so I was just listening to the game, but it sounded like he got in very easy. I didn't actually see the play, but
yeah, Adam Jones hit a walk-off off our boy Fernando Rodney. I
told you, man. Fernando Rodney lost me 8 fantasy points or whatever it was today in my league. So that you hate to see it. It's not what you want.
I kind of got screwed today because I just found out that Zunino is not starting, and and my backup catcher not playing. But it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm losing anyways. Dylan Bunny for the Orioles had a great game. He's 7 shutout innings.
He's phenomenal, man. I think he's underrated. I think he's gonna like I said, their starting rotation I think is absolutely atrocious. But I do think he's gonna be the diamond in the rough for that team, because I think he was a super prospect coming up, and then just had multiple injuries that he just couldn't get a chance to come up in the big leagues for an extended time. But I agree. I think he's gonna be a great pitcher, and I could see him one day playing for maybe an actual contending team and being an ace of a staff.
Yeah, well, the Orioles sure need it, because the Orioles and the Blue Jays they're almost such like a similar team over the past 5 years. If you put an ace on either of those teams, like a legitimate ace, a legitimate pitching staff, they might have a ring.
Well, think about it. When's the last time
those Orioles offenses from like 2011 to like 14 or even 15 were just
they were
awesome.
Good. They were good.
They were like Like when Adam Jones and Chris Davis and Machado and even like guys like Wieters, they always had boppers, man. Like just 1 through 9. It was never fun pitching against the Orioles.
Well, think about it. When was the last time the Blue Jays made the playoffs, Luigi? Who is their best pitcher on their staff? Can you think about it? If not, I can tell you.
Off the top of my head,
he's acquired midseason. If that helps.
I'm going blank here, Ryan.
David Price. So it was in his prime.
Oh, you said starting pitcher.
Yeah, because you were talking about like if those teams had aces that they would be able to.
You said starting pitcher. Though.
What did I say?
You said starting pitcher. Like I thought we were just talking about starters, so I wasn't thinking about David Price as a starting pitcher.
I see what you're doing here. But yeah, I mean, you're right though. Those teams, they don't have an ace, they don't have those stoppers in the bullpen, and they have decent hitters, but they don't have the Aaron Judges or the Giancarlo Stantons.
They don't. They just really don't. And the AL East, I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's one guarantee. I think that the Red Sox and the Yankees will be the 2 best teams. That the Rays will most likely be the worst team.
Yeah.
But let's look at tomorrow's game. I believe the Yankees are on MLB Network tomorrow.
All right.
Back at it in Toronto. Game 2 of 4 of the series. It's going to be Masahiro Tanaka versus Aaron Sanchez. I mean, look. To face the year, look, J Happ is a fine pitcher, but to face the year facing J Happ and then Aaron Sanchez, I mean that's like just think of it. If you're facing the Nationals, you have to face Scherzer and Strasburg.
Yeah,
the year.
It's terrible.
I mean, it's facing J Happ and Aaron Sanchez to start the year is pretty good living. But
I think so.
How are you feeling about Tanaka? How do you think he's going to come out and do tomorrow?
Well, it just depends on the home run ball, Luigi, because Tanaka's biggest weakness in his pitching is the home run ball. He allowed 35 last year. Pretty sure that led the American League, and if not, it definitely was his career high by far. But I definitely think his strikeouts. Like I was looking at this when I was reading the Tanaka pinstripe preview. He had his record for the most strikeouts in a single season for himself last year. I think he had 195. So I definitely think that the swing and miss stuff is there, and if he's able to capitalize that and not allow the long ball, I think we're in for a really good outing from Tanaka tomorrow. And especially because the Blue Jays don't really have the power hitters that they're used to having, like the Edwins, the Joey Bats. We've seen better days from Donaldson and Smoke. And I just think that Tanaka definitely has
clearly seen better days from Donaldson.
I mean, we used to see the days where he could reach first base from his position.
That was tough to watch, man.
Did you see what Gibbons said after the game about it?
What he said?
He said Donaldson's doing a dead arm. I don't really get how his arm's dead after the first game of the season, but to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, right. It's not exactly the best thing.
It's not what you want.
It's like a fatigue thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's gonna be our show. We'll wrap it up. Probably do another show Sunday, but
you left one question, Luigi, and I'm gonna pose this. I'll pose it to you.
Oh,
so, should the Yankees be the World Series favorite?
I think they should, because the Astros, I know that they're great. I know that the Dodgers are also great, but you really just the addition of Giancarlo Stanton, it really, I think, does just put the Yankees just slightly over that top. And not even the addition of Giancarlo. When you just look at their pitching staff as a whole, I mean, most of their guys, especially their bullpen, this was a team that guys like Chad Green, guys like Betances, guys like even Tanaka, Sevy, these guys did not have postseason experience.
No, not in the slightest.
They just did not. I mean, and you think with Betances, he was a guy that was a 4-time All-Star. And I believe before last season, his only postseason experience was, I believe he threw like an inning or inning 2/3 in that wild card game the Yankees lost to the Astros.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like all these guys, like, look, getting that postseason experience is so valuable. Like, look, I know you don't want to talk about a lot about college basketball, but it's something I always talk about in college basketball. When you see these teams like Butler and you see these teams that are just in the tournament every year,
yeah,
that means something. Playing a tournament game or two each year, and then you put together a team of guys that mostly have tournament experience. It means something. That was a big deal with Florida State this year. We got waxed last year in the tournament, but almost that whole team came back and made a run, and because they were not only because, but a big part because they just had that tournament experience, and that's what this Yankee team is going to have. They have that. They went, they were down 2-0 in the ALDS. They fought back, and then they went 7 games with the eventual World Series champs. Like, that means something. They're going to bring that into next year. And, it's like the Astros and the Indians, and these were teams that, before last year, they were making the playoffs. They were, like, doing well, especially the Indians. But, yeah, it really is just tough. Like, you're not going to – it's something that it's definitely, like, debatable. Like, I'm not going to – be mad if someone says, "Oh, I think the Astros or I think the Dodgers should be the World Series favorites," because both those teams have better rotations than the Yankees.
It's respectable.
Yeah, so not better bullpens, and the overall pitching staff is debatable, but
yeah, I'm gonna say something real quick, Luigi, because I'm just gonna make my little spiel on this really short and sweet. The Yankees did 3 things right today. They hit the crap out of the ball. They didn't let the Blue Jays get any runners on early on because of dominant starting pitching. And then they shut the door with the bullpen. I mean, what else could you want from a team? Like, you literally cannot ask for anything else. If they keep this formula going, they're obvious World Series favorites, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's just see if the Yankees could keep on going. Let's see if they could complete the sweep. Now, I know Stroman's not pitching tomorrow, but is Stroman pitching this weekend?
Game 4. Okay. I think they got Estrada going. This is off of memory. Estrada game 3, Stroman game 4. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think that's what they got going on.
Yeah. And is David Price pitching for the Red Sox tomorrow?
Pretty sure they have him lined up as number 2. So yeah, we'll get to see what that's all about. See if he can show more than being a glorified, overpaid long man.
I'm telling you, I really just do want to just see him suck. Like, I really just want to see him just suck as a start. And
you really do. Like, I feel bad for the guy because I like seeing him pitch for the Rays and the Tigers, but you really do want to see him go out 2 innings and then call the trainer and have him come look at his elbow. Like, it would be one of the funniest moments. Of this young season.
He was awesome on the Rays. Like, him coming up. Like, yeah, he was a great pitcher for them, but. Yeah, I mean, David Price, I really feel like, not obviously during the regular season one thing, but I really do feel like it's just going to be like last postseason. Once it comes to the postseason, if the Red Sox make the playoffs, I really feel like he's most likely going to be used as a bullpen guy. Like, he might get a start here and there, but they're going to just want to use him as a bullpen guy.
Definitely.
So that's our show. And Giancarlo Stanton has 2 home runs as a New York Yankee. We didn't even talk about this. What do you think of Sterling's Italian call?
Well, can you say it? Because here's my thing: if I can't even say the call, because I'm a big fan of tweeting his calls when people hit home runs. So, like when Gary hits a home run, I always love tweeting out Gary is scary. He just blasts a home run. But I don't think I can even pronounce Sterling's call. I mean, I respect that he did it in Italian and he did a cool out of the box rhyme. But I mean, how do you not do Stanton Island or Giancarlo? Like, I just don't understand how you don't fit those in. Because maybe we're just very uncreative and too cliche, but I don't know. What do you think?
So the home run call and Giancarlo non si può stopparlo.
No, it was pretty butchered, but I think you got it.
Giancarlo, you can't stop him.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, though. Like, I understand that, Giancarlo sounds Italian, but, Stanton's, not even Italian. And, Sterling obviously knows that, but it's just, the Giancarlo hits at Giancarlo or, Stanton Island, it's just too perfect. You have
it really
use
is.
that.
I agree.
You sometimes, sometimes an opportunity is right there. You just can't, you just have to go right to it. You can't try to overcomplicate it. And take some alternate route and go your own way. No, man, it's right there. You just take it, Sterling. You've come up with creative home run calls before. Just take this one. It's right there for you.
Sometimes you just gotta keep it simple, man.
Exactly. But yeah, so we'll be back as always. And I'm Matt, and for Ryan,
peace out, boys.
Cheers.